Ladies and gentlemen, the play's the thing. With your host, Judy Sleed. Special guest, Michael Schessel, MD, world-famed pediatrician. Now here's Judy.
Thank you, Lee, for that lovely introduction. And welcome to the Play's the Thing. I have a wonderful guest today, Dr. Schessel.
Hello.
So glad that you could come.
Thank you for having me.
And he could pass for an actor. You're so handsome.
Thank you.
So I would say you gave up acting because you couldn't make enough money, so you became a doctor.
Not quite. My senior year in high school was the last theatrical appearance I made.
So where did you go to school?
High school, I was in New York City, Ramaz, Jewish prep school.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
So you were born in New York City?
Born and bred, Upper West Side.
How do you like that? I would have never guessed.
Country boy from Montauk, fisherman.
No, yeah. A lot of people just, come from different cities, a lot of my guests, and somehow they migrate to New York State, and of course from New York City to the Hamptons. How did you come to the Hamptons?
Well, my wife and I, shortly after being married, when we decided to start a family, wanted to do it someplace outside of New York City. My wife is from Holland. So,
see that.
So yeah. The change from relatively quiet Amsterdam to New York was a bit much, and I always wanted to live outside of the city. So we had spent some of our courtship in the Hamptons, and she said, "Why not?"
Sure. You said Amsterdam. You don't mean Amsterdam Avenue in the city. That's on the Upper West Side.
Well, yeah. Well, we lived on Amsterdam Avenue. It was funny. She felt, a little bit closer to home there, but she's originally from Haarlem in the Netherlands, and lived in Amsterdam when I met her.
It is amazing how many names are similar.
Mm-hmm.
And, so when did she come here?
She came in 2003. And we moved out here in 2006 after we were married, and my son was born 9 months later.
So you are a doctor, and the field you're in, you're a pediatrician, which is a very important part of being a doctor.
I enjoy it.
Yes, so how come you chose to doctor children?
I've worked with children all through my youth. I was a camp counselor every summer, and before going to medical school, one of my first jobs in the medical area was working with children in the inpatient pediatric psychiatric ward at Mount Sinai, and I was actually planning on being a surgeon, following in my father's footsteps when I was in medical school. But then really gravitated to pediatrics. It was the area I enjoyed the most. Wasn't difficult for me to wake up after 3 hours of sleep and run back into the hospital to see how my patients were doing, and I really just followed my passion.
So are you specializing in any particular thing with children?
Well, in the last few years with the increase in childhood obesity,
yes.
Really taken an interest in that, and I have received in the last few years some additional training and certification in the treatment of childhood obesity and specialized nutrition and overweight children.
Which there are a lot here in this country.
Yes. The rate has flattened in the last few years where there's no great increase. But since the 1970s, there's been a wild growth in overweight children. It has to do with the types of foods we eat, the amount, the decrease in physical activity that children normally do due to the proliferation of video games and other sedentary type behavior, television.
And also the availability of all the sweets.
The availability of highly caloric foods, the packaging in larger and larger amounts, from supersized McDonald's meals to bags of chips, which you quite probably remember were 15 cents, small little 1-ounce packages. Now an individual serving is 3 times that, and the types of sugars, the high fructose corn syrup and fats are just wildly increased in processed foods, restaurant foods.
And what about the home that they come from and the parental supervision with food?
Well, the changes in the types of food and the types of, or the decrease in physical activity that I described is not specifically a pediatric problem. So when parents become overweight and their lifestyle changes, the lifestyle of their children changes. Parents increasingly are working more than one job, have less time for their children. The TV serves, the computer serves as a babysitter, and the whole family gets stuck in the rut of a poor lifestyle that unfortunately brings about obesity.
Right. Well, I find that with the children, I go to visit some friends who have small children, and all of a sudden the child comes with an ice cream or a cookie. Where did you get it's in the refrigerator and in the freezer. So it's there, and they don't even ask the parent if they could get it. They just take it.
Right. Well, there's, I know I'm the father of a 3.5-year-old boy who loves ice cream, and he goes to the freezer, but he knows to ask, and he knows that I will say, you know, no, you've just had one, or no, not until after dinner, and or let's instead, rather than that, let's have some strawberries or an apple. And there are boundaries that have been placed in our home and many homes, but unfortunately in most homes, there are fewer and fewer boundaries, and parents do a lot of rewarding with foods. The simple and easy solution to a child being upset is just to give him what he's, you know, screaming and crying for. So with, you know, more demands placed on parents' time, the increase in watching TV and video games, and computer and Facebook and so forth, kids these days, as you know, tend to get what they want. And the producers of these sweets and other foods know that. I mean, a supermarket is designed to
entice you.
Entice, and it's well known that children will complain and ask for junk food, you know, up to 50 times in just a few minutes, and the parents, by the checkout line, just give them whatever to shut up.
Well, I remember, I'm from where I come from, where, you know, years and years ago, to have some sweet or cake or ice cream, that was like a reward. That was like a treat. But today, it's not a treat. It's like a daily diet.
Not only daily, but many times during the day, super rich, super sugary sweets and other types of processed foods are taken in just 2, 3, 4 times a day. The caloric intake has gone through the roof, and it's known that just an increase in 100 calories a day above what you burn will cause a 10-pound weight gain in 1 year. So it's very, very easy to put on a lot of weight.
Yeah, well, I'm guilty. Also, I eat a lot more sweets than I really need.
Oh, you look fine.
Well, where do you practice now?
I practice here in Wainscott, just around the corner from our
that's
studios.
right. You just about walked over here.
Yeah, not in the rain. But it's at the Wainscott Walk-In Medical Care with Dr. Blake Kerr, Dr. Alona Pollock. We've created a special pediatric area. which is
Oh,
quite
I
nice.
see. So did you practice elsewhere before you came here?
Before I was in Wainscott, I was with Stony Brook University.
Oh, that's also very good.
Yeah, and before that, before I moved out here 4 years ago, I was with Cornell University and New York Methodist Hospital in Park Slope.
So you're very new in the Hamptons.
Yes,
Do you like it here?
I love it. It's great.
Me too.
It's
I
wonderful.
love it here too. So you said your father was a
Still
doctor,
is.
a
Still
surgeon.
is. He is
Oh,
almost.
he still is practicing?
He'll be turning 80 in about 1.5 years, and he's still practicing daily, a plastic surgeon.
Oh my gosh, I have to go to him.
He does only reconstructive work now.
Oh my
for the
gosh.
last few years.
I see. Is he in Manhattan?
In Manhattan and Queens, yes.
Manhattan. And what about your mom?
My mom, I won't tell you how old she will be shortly, but she is working very, very hard every day. Keeps her young, she says.
Of
And
course it does.
she's in real estate.
In the real estate, wow. And you have siblings?
I do. I have a brother who's a few years older than me. And he is trained as a lawyer, but an entrepreneur now in various businesses here and there.
Wow. Where does he live?
He lives in Manhattan with his family.
In Manhattan. Oh my gosh. You have to do very well, I think, to live in Manhattan.
More and more these days, yes. When I was growing up in the 70s and 80s, it was, bohemian and so many artists. More and more artists are being pushed out to the outer boroughs, and then those outer boroughs, Brooklyn, Queens, become very expensive as well. It's an unfortunate trend, I think.
I noticed a lot of people move upstate.
Yeah, you're
in the
right.
Catskills.
Columbia County and
Ulster County.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just came back from there, and my daughters live there. So
That's nice.
I just mentioned to my daughter years ago, it was so pleasant, but now it became so busy with the cars.
Mm-hmm.
And just keep building and building. Supermarket stores,
Right.
just getting bigger and bigger.
There's a nice community up there. My wife's stepfather is in Hawthorne Valley, and it's Waldorf school and very progressive and organic foods and
A lot of organic
self-sustaining.
stuff, yes.
It's a nice community.
So you also mentioned that you have a hobby, you do something with music.
I love music. I've played lots of different instruments, and just recently got a full drum kit, which my 3-year-old boy loves.
And I'm sure your wife loves it too.
She's been remarkably tolerant of the noise, and it's fun. Really enjoy it. Jazz is a big passion for me.
So when you play the drums, who plays the music?
Well, my son wants to be playing the guitar, and he says that my wife will be playing the violin, and we're going to form a band.
Oh,
But-
she plays the violin already?
No, but
Oh,
my
not
son
yet.
has ideas. We'll see if we can
That's
live up to
very
them.
nice, yes.
Yeah, he's
So
very
what
creative.
other instruments do you play?
I've played the piano, the trumpet, the guitar. I never really stuck with anything for more than a couple of years. So, and then medical school, didn't really have the time to keep anything up. And now I've decided to. I've always played different percussion instruments. So now I've decided to dedicate myself to learning how to accompany a jazz band. With the
So
drums.
how many hours do you put into your work, or how many days, or how does it?
For the music or for
No,
my real
for
work, my
your real
bread and
work.
butter? I have regular, doctor's hours, 8:30 to 4:35, 5 days a week. And, the office has just opened in the last few weeks, a month and a half. So as more and more patients come to me regularly, I will expand the hours necessary.
Well, yeah. I mean, this opened up the pediatric
Right.
center because Dr. Kerr had been there.
For decades, yes.
Yes,
He's great.
yes. And I'm trying to get him come on my show for so long. Somehow I keep missing.
He's an interesting fellow. He's got lots of stories to tell.
I know. So is there anything else you give your patients, pamphlets, or do you write anything?
Well, when we are dealing specifically with weight issues for children, it's really best to build a structured plan around lifestyle modification. So there's quite a bit. There's a program from Louisiana State University, which has proven very effective, the Trim Kids program, and it's really all-encompassing. Meal plans and exercise requirements or exercise recommendations. It's a 12-week program, really proven effective, and it's very detailed. And I really personalize my approach to the individual patient and what particular problems they have with maintaining a good level of activity and eating right and eating healthy. I concentrate quite a bit on nutrition. My wife is a nutritionist, and we've been giving talks in the area. I've been giving talks for years in New York City as well in regards to getting children to eat in a very healthy fashion, fun, getting away from what I mentioned earlier, the processed foods, which are very detrimental to your health, not only for your weight, but in terms of the pesticides and the types of processed sugars and fats. It's really getting back to a purist, natural lifestyle is what I recommend.
So when you get like one patient, one child, do you spend a lot of time with them?
Mm-hmm. It's quite a bit, and then I'll see them regularly, once a month, to make sure that they are not having difficulty maintaining, the level of activity and a healthy diet. And if there are abnormalities in their labs or concerns about diabetes and high blood pressure, which there often are, following those things carefully, making sure that the child is as healthy as possible and grows up to be a healthy adolescent and a healthy adult.
Do you have a scale that they weigh? You weigh them every time they come in to see whether they lose weight?
Of course, it's sometimes a sensitive issue, but we follow the body mass index mostly. It's a proportion of their weight to their height, taking in considerations such as muscularity, other things that can skew the measurement. But we really concentrate on reducing weight by even as little as 5%. You'd be surprised, would have incredibly beneficial health.
Years ago, the doctor would give a child a lollipop as a reward.
I've never given lollipops. Prefer stickers, but there are lollipops in the office.
No, I don't think you would give that.
But one of my mottos is I don't recommend ever saying no to a child. You cannot have this. You can always have a little of something.
A little, yes.
Yeah, I mean, granted, there are foods that I wouldn't eat myself or feed to my own child, but you have to convince the child that that's something they themselves want to avoid. Saying no is not productive very often. And when you go about adjusting a child's diet and exercise more towards a healthy lifestyle, you have to do it gradually. You just can't do it.
And you give them choices, right?
There's plenty of choices. I mean, when you say eat healthy foods, fruits and vegetables, I mean, how many hundreds of choices do you have in that area? When you say, be more active, it's not just doing jumping jacks. There are so many different ways of being active, and it's really finding lifestyle changes that stick. They have to have stickiness. If you find something that the child or even an adult will not be happy and repeat and make part of their healthier lifestyle, without that stickiness, then it's not really very worthwhile. And after a few months, you're going to see a return to unhealthy habit?
I find that when I'm watching television, very often I feel like nibbling on something.
No, that's a really big issue, and just
Yes.
the reduction in children's media will have a healthy result, be it that they'll replace the time spent sitting sedentary in front of a TV or a computer with being active, and they will no longer do that sort of what we call either empty eating or emotional eating. Oftentimes people eat out of boredom.
Yes.
Or they eat because they're upset about something and they turn their mind off, watch the TV and shovel the chips and ice cream.
Yes, yes.
But it's making people aware, not only children, but it's getting the whole family involved.
Yes.
Making people aware of what they do and doing very thoughtful eating. What are the foods doing to you? How do they make you feel? Have you really had enough? Understanding your own satiety. Most Americans, people around the world, have a very superficial understanding of their own satiety. When are they satisfied? When are they no longer hungry? What foods are satisfying and why? What foods make them feel better? This is a big subject of my wife's when she talks to her own patients and when she speaks to groups. Most people eat foods that don't make them feel good. Most people, when they finish a certain type of food, they may feel emotionally satisfied because when they were sad, their grandmother always gave them a big slice of cake. So when they eat that big slice of cake, when they're sad, they feel happier afterwards. But that cake full of artificial ingredients, full of unhealthy sugars and fats, will actually make them feel sluggish and tired and sad often afterwards. After the high of the sugar, very quickly they will feel depressed, the low of the sugar leaving their system. So being aware of what foods do to you and how they make you feel is very, very important. And really having that awareness of how your life can improve once you change your diet towards more healthy foods is eye-opening for many, many people.
And I think sometimes you feel you're hungry, but you're actually thirsty. And then you drink water.
I do suggest to all my patients that when they feel like having a snack, first drink a big glass of water. People avoid hydrating themselves as much as they should. The water will occupy some of the stomach. The stomach is a muscle that gets accustomed to a certain size. So when you're filling it with lots of foods, it will need time to shrink as you eat fewer and fewer calories. So granted, satiety and also knowing what type of foods make you feel satisfied. Most people eat way too many carbohydrates these days. Those foods are not very satisfying for your hunger. Choosing healthy types of proteins would be much more satisfying. And then also eating foods that are rich in nutrients along with the proteins. Most people don't eat enough nuts, other sorts of whole grains, and then choosing good healthy proteins. A piece of cheese, even though people say it's high fat and so forth, is much more satisfying than a whole bag of potato chips.
Do you also take children who are not heavy?
Of course. I'm a general pediatrician still, and I love it.
Yes, so you don't only get children with weight problems, you get just regular.
And I have to say, I'm happy to find that there are fewer children in the Hamptons who have weight issues than in the inner city. There's really not much of any fast food out here, and children lead a more active life out here than they do in the city, where they are often latchkey kids.
Yeah, that's true. The closest fat food is in Southampton, and east of that, there is not one.
Right. But also, you don't necessarily need to eat fast food to become overweight, of course. It's, the abundance of processed foods is here. But what I recommend very much is getting children involved in their food preparation. Not enough children are participating in the cooking of the meals, the choosing of the ingredients, getting children, even at a young age, at 2 or 3, interested in mixing things and making their own foods, getting them excited about fresh ingredients is very, very helpful. Getting, as I said, developing a thoughtfulness about what you're putting into your body, it starts there.
I had a guest who is doing that in school, after school program or part of the school where she brings all the food and the children help her make the food.
And it starts even earlier than that. It starts in planting the food. I'm involved. No, I'm involved with Slow Foods and their edible schoolyard movement, and it's our goal to get an operational garden or even farm associated with every school, so the children are involved in planting organic foods.
Starting from the bottom up,
Right,
which is
at a young
great.
age.
Well, I hope people who tune in will go and visit you in Wayne Scott Walk-In.
That's right.
And learn all about this very important subject, how to stay healthy, starting with your baby, or even while you're pregnant.
Very true. It's very true. Perinatal nutrition is a very, very important subject, and one of the well-documented, well-known ways of decreasing the risk of obesity is by breastfeeding your child and delaying solid food intake, until at least 6 months. It's been proven to be effective.
Gee, I wish I knew that way back. Well, we are winding down, and this has been a very educational and nice and very informative. And thank you again for sharing all these wonderful things with us.
Thank you for having me.
So what's the phone number for walk-in?
The phone number is 631-537-1892 is our general line.
1892. I always have to look it up. Well, it is, I learned a lot. I mean, I knew a lot, but I learned a lot.
That's what's great about being a doctor.
I'm going to call you from now and then, and when I want to know about something, shall I eat this or I shouldn't eat this? How much exercise?
Call my wife. My wife is incredibly knowledgeable. Yes.
Yes. So where is she practicing?
She practices out of our home.
Oh.
In Noyak, North Sea area.
Oh, is that where you live?
Mm-hmm. On the water, on the bay.
On the bay. Oh, that's nice. What street?
We're in the Bayview Oaks section of, it's right over the Noyak North Sea border.
Oh, the Bayview. I had a student there. Bayview North.
Right. That's one of the streets there.
Oh, yeah,
Bayview
that's where
North.
they live. On Bay. Do you know the Alfords?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I know them very well, Sue and Phil.
They are one of my favorite people. I taught the whole family, not the parents, all 3 children. I taught them piano. They
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, wow. I noticed the piano. I was there a few weeks ago. That's great.
Yeah.
And the beautiful children.
They are great, and they play beautifully. Andy stopped. Now he's taking up drums.
Oh, yeah?